That's ISO. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out.
All right, folks, it's another episode of the Wealth Ladder Podcast where we speak to amazing business owners and entrepreneurs, and they give you the steps that they took to achieve their success. We have an amazing young lady here for you today. She's going to blow you out the water. So please have your seatbelts buckled. We have Miss Julie all the way from the land down under. Julie, talk to us.
Hey, Andre, thank you for having me on your podcast, the Wealth Ladder Podcast. I'm coming to you from Australia, and it is already Wednesday morning here, 8:30 a.m. So I can see into the future, and I can tell you that the future looks pretty bright for real estate investors at the moment.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Please give us an introduction, exactly who you are, and tell us a little bit about your background.
Oh, absolutely. My favorite story to tell. So look, my claim to fame is that back in 2016, I discovered short-term rentals, and I was living in a place called Cairns, Queensland, Australia. Now that is where the Great Barrier Reef, for those of you who have got kids and have seen Nemo, that's where I lived. Grew up where Crocodile Dundee was filmed. So out of interest, I was feeding crocodiles as my first ever job. All my fingers still intact. But my background is, yes, I'm an Australian. I started a short-term rental business in 2016 off the back of seeing success from my own property. I had a little one-bedroom apartment and just saw the potential that property investors could make if they switched their properties to short-term rentals. So the returns were phenomenal. They were twice what I was getting with a long-term lease. But also I suddenly was able to use my own investment properties for personal use. How many times do we get to use our own investment properties? Probably never. But if I had my mother-in-law coming to stay or somebody I didn't want to sleep in my house, I could put them in my Airbnb and my own property my own personal property. Now, I was working as a realtor at the time in a very flat market, and it dawned on me that if it worked for me, Andre, that I could possibly take this concept and this strategy and help other property investors make some money and free up their time. Now, I started a property management company called Host My Home, quickly scaled that with a unique property structure to 130 properties and well over $8 million in 2.5 years. And then just before COVID, sold the business. Now, I'm going to do some shameless plugging, but the whole story is in $1 Million Host. So this is my best-selling book. It's the first book that I've written. And then I've written a couple of others with collaboration with other people, Hospitable Hosts. And Hospitable Hosts has just been picked up by Netflix. You will see this on a screen very shortly, hopefully with this face and this accent, coming to you to talk to you about short-term rentals worldwide.
Oh, my Lord. Look, folks, I'm glad I was able to get her now because in a few months, she might be out of my price range. So, dude, thank you for jumping on. So talk to us about your vision. Because most of us don't have the foresight to be like, you know what? Let me do something out of the box. What led you to take a leap and chance on yourself and do something different?
Great question. And I think a lot of viewers and a lot of listeners will resonate with this, is that I wanted to be my own boss. I simply wanted financial freedom without somebody telling me what time to turn up to work, where to sit, what to do. I didn't like being told what to do. I'm a very bad employee, so don't employ me if I ever come to you. But I really wanted to create freedom for myself. And I know a lot of us talk about it, but it was the opportunity that short-term rentals gave me, in that I didn't need to have a lot of money to start, and that I could do this with a structure that I had created. I could organically grow it very quickly, and I was growing a saleable asset at the same time. So these management contracts that I was putting in place to manage fully furnished homes, other people's fully furnished homes, suddenly that was worth something long term, as well as incredible cash flow straight away. Look, it all stemmed from, let's go deep here. I'm going to tell you, you ready for this? This is where we get really personal, in that I actually suffered some corporate burnout. A few years ago, I was working a job. It was crazy hours that I was working. I was away from my home 3 weeks out of 4. And I just got to the point where I completely burnt out. And that is also going to be a familiar story to a lot of people listening right now. Stress can do some ugly things to your body. But for me, I got to the point where I really couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. It was like I'd had a stroke. And that was 2015. And it was really awful. And it was at that point I went, I can't work for anybody else because I can't have stress in my life. I need to create financial freedom, but I need to create and this is where the vision comes in. I need to create a business that I can work on, not in. I think what we do is a lot of people as entrepreneurs, we create a new job for ourselves when we start a business, and we keep ourselves busy 24/7 with our own work that we've been able to come up with. But what we don't do as entrepreneurs is look at the structure and look at the framework that we need to put in, the systems, the team, to be able to then step away and have a lifestyle balance. And I know we'll talk about that later, the lifestyle balance side of things. But that was my vision, Andre. Create some financial freedom, create a future where I didn't have to work more than 10 hours a week was my goal. And I was able to do that. I was able to do that not for the first 12 months. Here's the disclaimer, folks, is it's not as easy as I'm making out right now, but it is possible. And it is possible to create a successful business without maybe a lot of money to start with. So I had $9,000 I put into some advertising, some computers, a really good vacuum cleaner that I needed to clean these properties, and then really took off with this structure, this unique structure that I created and implemented.
Awesome. You know what? Here's where we go into the murky waters, Julie. Talk to us about some of the challenges and some of the lessons you had on the way to building your brand.
Challenges and lessons. So when I started this business, short-term rental property management business in 2016, there was no resources for me to look to. There was no coaches, there were no books out there, no Netflix TV shows for me to copy systems, strategies, fast track my success. I had to learn everything on my own. So I can tell you I still struggle to fold a fitted sheet, but there's a lot of challenges that I learned along the way, but I'm still here to tell you that if I could do it in 2.5 years, you can do it a lot quicker with my strategies and the help that's out there at the moment. But the challenges, I think the first thing that I faced, Andre, was really I started taking on any property that I could get my hands on. If somebody said, here, manage my property, I said, yes, give me the keys. The wrong thing to do, because I then started getting reviews coming through saying, we love the property, but the midnight visits by the police because of the drug deals going on outside of the property were not really conducive. And of course, I, as a new kid on the block at Airbnb, was trying to defend those things by saying, but it's a cultural experience. It's not a cultural experience.
So, I'm going to use that one next time.
Cultural experience. But honestly, it was really a learning lesson to me to say, right, not every property is the right property. Not every property owner is the right person to work with either. You could have the best property presented to you, but if the property owner and you do not gel, if you do not set guidelines right from the beginning, if you do not set some boundaries, you will be micromanaged in this business by homeowners. So you've got to really make sure that you've got a very clear communication and process right from the beginning to find the right properties, the right owners, and then also recognize that you can't do this yourself. You know, I remember the day that I had made 17 beds in one day, and I got home and I looked in the mirror and I thought, whose stupid idea was short-term rentals? Who wants to be an Airbnb if all you're doing is making beds all day? And it was at that point I then sat down with a friend of mine the next day, 70-year-old Glenn, who was looking for an opportunity. He was looking for a way to make some money and to be his own boss. And it dawned on me that I have an opportunity that I could present to him like a business in a box. And I said to him, would you like 10 properties? I'm going to give you the responsibility of guest communications, cleaning, looking after these properties like they're your own, and I'm going to simply split the commissions. I was charging a homeowner 25% commission. I paid Glenn 6%, and the cleaning fee went to him as well. And suddenly I had, under the umbrella structure of my business, Glenn had his own little business, and then we replicated that 14 times. So it became like a franchise, and I became the matchmaker between the excited homeowner wanting a piece of the short-term rental pie and the budding entrepreneur looking for a business opportunity. Put them
Awesome.
together, magic.
Awesome. So I'm going to piggyback off that lovely story you told about Glenn in regards to your leadership and team building. You gave us a little snippet on how you build your team. Can you flesh that out for the folks at
Yeah.
home?
Absolutely. I think what we've got to do is, when we're out day to day, look for those budding entrepreneurs. Look for those people that are just, it might be a server in the restaurant, it might be a senior citizen, like Glenn was 70, he's just retired, now at 75. Or it could be a young parent with children at school that just wants some work. But what you've got to do is find people that fit the mold of what you're looking for, and then offer an opportunity to them, and then trust and delegate to these people as well. Recognize that you are not the expert at everything. I know that I was a terrible cleaner, Andre. Once again, if I offer to clean your house, say no, because I am not a good cleaner. And I recognized that very early on, that I needed to outsource that piece of my business straight away. What I recognized I was good at was the marketing, the branding, the finding new listings, and then onboarding and dealing with homeowners. So I had to recognize what I was good at, where my time was more valued, and then outsource. Finding the right team, yes, you've just got to keep your eyes open. You've got to then give people an opportunity. You've got to provide the right training, and you've got to be very clear with what standards you expect from that team. Now, this goes for any business. I think really important is setting good key performance indicators. Have some great KPIs. Now, it was very easy with Airbnb. We could simply just say, I want to achieve 5-star results. If we don't get 5-star results, then we need to retrain you, or I'll take that property off you, Glenn, and I'll give it to somebody else. And so that was something that I realized, that as we're building that team out, I needed to find processes that I could replicate over and over. But here's a funny story for you. I also thought it was a good idea that once Glenn was on board as my first cleaner, that he could then train and clean the next people that came on board. That's a great idea, except when it came to the fact that Glenn liked to clean the showers last in the property. He liked to clean them naked. And that was all well and good until he took 2 young girls with him to show them how to clean the showers, and they never wanted to work for my business again after that.
Your
Just
Glenn
be
wasn't taking
wary
advantage
that
of
you need to think through all of these situations. But yeah, team building, have some fun with it. Listen to your staff members, value your staff members, pay them handsomely, and empower them wherever you can with responsibility.
Outstanding. All right. You already shared quite a bit with us. Now we're going into the good stuff. Milestones.
Okay, look, the first year is the hardest, and the first property is the hardest too. So please, if you're listening to me now, know that it is possible, what I'm talking about, and the success is possible, but it does take some effort of yours in the first year. So the first 12 months was probably trying to figure out those processes and struggles. But I also was looking to make a portfolio of properties that was pretty impressive. And so when we got to 50 properties, and this was one of my big milestones, it was at that stage that there was a regular income stream enough for me to take on an employee in my company. So what I failed to mention before was those contractors like the Glens, the cleaners were contractors. But I wasn't able to afford an employee until I had 50 properties. So I remember that 50 property milestone, I was so excited that I could suddenly employ an operations manager to come on and take a lot of the load off my plate. So that was milestone 1. Milestone 2 was 100 properties. At 100 properties, I could afford 3 employees, but I also was able to afford to open up my own office, an office space, physical office space. Now, a lot of us are doing work from home these days. I've got to tell you, when it comes to running a property management company, having a physical office space gave me the credibility. It gave me that, it just helps shore up my reputation in the community. But it brought in so much work. Our workload then doubled. It very quickly, we found that the amount of properties coming in the door and that were being attracted to us as a brand doubled. So that was very exciting. But then also the other big achievement was having the sale of my business. Now, the one thing I can't tell you is what I sold the business for, but I can tell you that I never have to work again. In my mid-40s, I found myself suddenly experiencing the ultimate payday of being able to sell a property management business. And it was 3 months before COVID. So how's that for good timing? So I don't think they're very happy that they bought my business, but whatever. And I would just say that now, of course, the big achievements for me are being able to positively impact thousands of hosts around the world, travel the globe. I'm going to see you, in fact, in 10 days. I was counting down in Austin, Texas. We're having a massive event called the Short-Term Rental Growth Summit. I've got to get the words right. strgrowthsummit.com. If you want to get a ticket to come and see Andre and myself, we will be in Austin, Texas. But that's my excitement now, and my achievement and milestones of seeing how many other people I can positively impact and help them replicate the same success that I've had. And of course, the books, the Netflix TV show, there's a bunch of really cool things happening. But yeah, what's next?
What's next is this. With all of the milestones, the achievements and success that you've had, tell us, how do you find time for the work-life balance or personal growth? Talk to us, Julie.
That's the beauty of this, is that from after year 1, when I put in all the processes, got my team ready, I was able to then, after the first 12 months of running this business, work 10 hours a week. And I can tell you, the day I knew I had made it was when I turned up to my physical office and the girls in the office said, "Stop, what are you doing here? Don't touch anything." And I thought, yes, these girls know how to run my business better than I know how to run my business. And at that point, I knew that I had absolutely achieved a lifestyle balance where I was working 10 hours a week maximum. I was traveling whenever I wanted to travel, wherever I wanted to travel. Financial freedom was achieved so that I could do as much online shopping as I wanted. But I just really I now live the life that I want to lead, and it's a life by design. I do have to still be careful. I mentioned before to you, stress is not my friend. So when I feel that I'm stressed, and I've got to say, I've been today, my gosh, it's a full day for me. I've been up since 4 a.m. here in Australia doing videos and conferencing with my North American friends. I know that after I've got 2 more appointments today, and then the rest of the afternoon, I have clocked off. I am not doing anything. I might lie on the couch, watch some Netflix myself, or go for a beautiful walk along the riverbank here in Australia. But you've really got to create a life by design. And if you're listening in right now and you're nodding your head to what I'm saying, please do yourself a favor. Write down, get clear on what that life looks like, because you've got to know what the goal is before you can have a roadmap to achieve it.
I love that. So please tell us what the future looks like for you. What is your future outlook? I know you told us there might be a Netflix show in the works. What else do you have?
So I'm very excited by the fact that Netflix have come knocking for one of these books, Hospitable Hosts. And at the moment, we're filming the pilot. So I want everybody to keep your fingers crossed that the producers are going to love it, the audience testing, they're going to love it, and that you may just hear this accent on your TV screens in the near future. So that's goal number 1 for me. The other future outlook goals are that I am going to be Traveling a lot. So after I see you in Austin, I'm back to Australia for an event down under. And then I am heading to Orlando, Florida. We're going to be gathering there for the Vacation Rental Managers Association conference in Orlando. I'm going to be holding a golf tournament and a party there. Now, I hate golf, but what a great excuse to go into the clubhouse and take that over and have a little bit of a party. I'm then going to Cancun, Mexico for some events. But what I do, Andre, it may sound like I'm doing a lot of work, but I'm doing maybe a couple of hours at each event. And then the rest of the time, I get to explore the culture. I get to look, and meet the locals. I get to, go out and chat up all the good-looking men because I'm looking for husband number 3. No, I promise I won't do that. But I just have fun, and I just am, really looking forward to doing as much travel as I possibly can, because that's what I love. I love to be able to explore new cultures, explore new destinations, and this amazing life that I've created with short-term rentals and now coaching and speaking on stages worldwide allows me to do that.
Awesome. Julie, it's a pleasure having you here. Give us some closing inspiration for the next, business owner or entrepreneur that's either in Australia or the States that's looking to replicate your success.
Oh, absolutely. I would just thank everybody for listening. If you've made it this far into the podcast, I'm hoping that you've at least picked up 1 or 2 little inspirational tips. But I would suggest that if you want to be your own boss, if you want to create financial freedom, if you don't have a lot of money to begin with, it is possible. I promise you it is possible. And I would just implore you to read as many books as you possibly can on the subject. Watch as many YouTube podcasts that you can on the subject that you're interested in, and attend events. If you're anywhere near Austin on the 10th to the 12th of September, come and see Andre and myself. If you're listening to a podcast right now, I didn't even tell Andre I'm going to do this. $1 Million Host, this book. If anybody wants to contact me on social media and say they heard Julie and Andre speaking today on this amazing podcast, on the Wealth Ladder podcast, let me know. And the first 5 people, I'm going to get a copy of this ebook to you. Wow. So read the book. You may just find some extra inspiration, but just know that if I can do it, and I promise you, there was nothing special about me 2016 when I started. I promise you, if I can do it, you can do it too.
Oh my God. Julie, you're amazing. You know what? I might hit you up on Instagram and be one of those first 5 people to get a copy of the book.
I think I can hook you up. That's for sure.
All right, folks. This was another episode of the Wealth Ladder podcast. We spoke to an amazing young lady today, Miss Julie George, who has an inspirational story on how she took her business to almost 8 figures, sold it, and now you'll be seeing her on a streaming platform near you. Julie, give us one last word before we sign off.
Oh, folks, look, I'm so excited to think that a girl from Australia has been able to make it onto the Wealth Ladder podcast to even inspire you just a little bit. So if you're listening in right now, get to it. Like Nike says, just do it and have a fantastic day. Thank you for listening.
All right. Toodles, folks.
I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up. She got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up.